era, no matter what kind of muscle car you drove, it wasn't for real unless it was Hurst equipped. When you think back to the muscle car years, a lot of great images come to mind. But one name said muscle car like no other. That name was Hurst. For nearly 40 years, Hurst has meant high performance and bulletproof quality. They earned this reputation by making one of the muscle car era's favorite products, the Hurst shifter. But Hurst wasn't just a shifter manufacturer. Hurst's contribution to the muscle era was much more far-reaching. Hurst was an innovator in creating life-saving safety equipment. Their support for drag racing during its early years put this little sport on the map. And they've partnered with practically every American car maker to build some of the most unique muscle cars ever created. All of these achievements grew from the vision of one man, George Hurst. Dick Chrysler started with Hurst in 1966, and his duties included washing the cars and sweeping the floors. By 1981, he owned the company. He credits his business success to the time he spent working with George Hurst.
There will never be another George Hurst. There are people like that that have that vision. They come along once in a lifetime, and you can only thank God that you had the chance to work with them and learn from them.
George Hurst made this world a whole lot better place to be by being here.
Jack Watson was George Hurst's go-to guy for their special projects, but most people know him as Doc Watson, Hurst's shifty doctor. He remembers how George Hurst got things done.
We found great talent in people who just would work unbelievably hard. In growing a sport, you have to raise the persons. Well, the one thing that the funny cars and the wheel standers and the other things, they brought sponsors, and those sponsors spent money.
Cars like the Hurst Olds, with its upscale look and feel and power to burn, were proof of this little company's ability to design and build high-style muscle cars. On the opposite end of the spectrum, cars like the Hemi Barracuda showed that Hurst could focus on pure, straight-line performance. Maybe cars like the wild, wheel-standing Hemi Under Glass revealed the most about this diverse company. George Hurst believed in performance, but he loved promotion.
George Hurst saw it as an absolute platform that was his stage. It was a quarter-mile-long stage.
Hurst promotions like the Hemi Under Glass made a day at the drag races special for thousands of fans. But to make sure nobody ever forgot the name Hurst, they also employed one of motorsport's most effective spokespersons, Miss Linda Vaughn.
George Hurst was drag racing, and we did turn Hurst into a household word.
With this blend of engineering, high performance, imagination, and public relations, the fun things built by George Hurst and his dedicated team of hot rodders injected a lot of excitement into the muscle car era. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll see how it all started on the American muscle car. If you had a hot car in the 50s, you probably had one big headache, that factory gear shift. Factory shifters were the weak link between the engine and the pavement, but George Hurst had a better idea. Hurst started his automotive business in 1954, and in 1958 he joined forces with a brilliant engineer named Bill Campbell. In addition to working on cars, their little company, now called Hurst Campbell, made a number of small products, like motor mounts and bumper guards for Volkswagen buses. But Hurst had been tinkering with another gadget, a floor-mounted gear shifter. The Hurst shifter was a jewel, meticulous construction, and innovations like reverse lockout, which prevented throwing the transmission into reverse by mistake, made Hurst's floor shifters instant favorites with hot rodders. In just a few years, the gleaming stick with Hurst stamped onto it was a status symbol among hot rodders all over America. Even then, George Hurst knew the importance of creating a strong brand name.
Strongest, one of the best shifters. The racers still use them today. It was a masterful piece of engineering.
A Hurst shifter was a bona fide speed part. Most of the cars at the drags were now banging gears with Hurst shifters. And with hundreds of race cars showing the Hurst decal, George Hurst realized how important it was for his equipment to work perfectly every time. So Hurst put together a rolling machine shop, setting up in the pits at major events, dispensing hospitality to the racers, and providing free technical assistance.
The Shifty Doctor was something that I got thinking of. What could we do that we could do positive things and make this kind of tie to a drag strip or a NASCAR track, and to show people that the Hurst organization really cares about its customers.
Any racer that came to that race that couldn't pass tech or couldn't pass inspection, bring them into the Hurst Clinic and fix whatever it was on their car free of charge. Compliments of George Hurst.
By 1964, the big three automakers were starting to build cars aimed directly at these young drag racing fans. Detroit's new muscle cars had big-inch motors, heavy-duty transmissions, and all the hot rod goodies built in. But since Hurst shifters were the standard of the high-performance industry, the marketing people realized they could capitalize on Hurst's good image with muscle car buyers.
You're going to a party. If you want to have fun, go with somebody that everybody knows. And so the way that Pontiac or Rolls or Buick in time could become involved in this enthusiast market was to get involved with Hurst.
Before long, just about every muscle car had one of George Hurst's beautiful chrome 4-speeds shifting its gears, which further enhanced the company's already strong reputation for making unbreakable equipment. Hurst's growing line of high-performance equipment also included a high-performance shifter for automatic transmissions called the Dual Gate, and one of the most outrageous custom wheels ever made, known simply as the Hurst wheel. By the mid-60s, Hurst products were the gold standard of performance parts. But as innovative as George Hurst was as an engineer, he was even more gifted as a promoter. Building the Hurst name was a joint effort, a blend of good products and clever showmanship. We'll ask Hurst's best ambassador to help us with that story when the American muscle car returns.
I don't sing and I don't dance, but I can sure shift your gears.
In 1966, drag racing was big-time motorsports. In less than 20 years, it had risen up from its greasy knuckles roots to be a multi-million-dollar televised sport. One of the prime movers in this transformation was George Hurst. From racer support like the performance clinics to lavish giveaways like cash prizes and free cars, Hurst created hundreds of promotions which poured money into drag racing and kept the company name in front of the fans. By far, though, the most visible and effective promotion was Miss Hurst Golden Shifter.
So George Hurst was like an uncle to me, or a dad at times, and Jack Duffy, the PR director, just took me under his wing, and I really became a part of the family.
Linda Vaughn began her career with Hurst in 1966. Her image as Hurst's Golden Girl is one of the best-known symbols of the muscle car era and was instrumental in making Hurst a household name among car enthusiasts.
I make sure if I see a 57 Chevrolet pull up, or a Hurst Oldsmobile, or a Pontiac Oldsmobile, all American-made cars, I got my nose in there to see if it's got a Hurst shifter in it. 99% of the time it still does.
Linda Vaughn continues today as one of racing's most memorable personalities. But not all of Hurst's promotions were this polite and lovely. Some were just plain rowdy. The Hemi Under Glass was born in 1965, another creation of the fertile mind of Doc Watson.
The Hemi Under Glass evolved because we were in the early iteration stages of helping Chrysler develop their funny car program. I always looked for names that I could put an H in the first of it, so it gave me a legitimate reason to stick the Hurst logo there. The next thing I knew is we're out at New Baltimore sticking Barracuda straight up in there and says, oh, this is neat.
The Hemi Under Glass immediately became the world's favorite exhibition dragster. Its trips down the quarter mile on two wheels brought everyone to their feet. And on days when the car would perform, drag strip owners were guaranteed standing room only crowds.
The first time we took it out to the racetrack, the vehicle stood straight up on its back wheels. And the fans loved it, and the Hurst Hemi Under Glass was born, and it went down the drag strips literally in the high 9s, low 10s, 140, 150 miles an hour on its back wheels all the way down to drag strip.
For sheer outrageousness, though, nothing could top this car, a twin-engine, four-wheel drive 66 Olds 442. Its name described the car perfectly, the Hairy Oldsmobile.
It was a tough car.
The Harry Olds became the most awesome exhibition car to ever roar down the drag strip. Two blown 425 Oldsmobile engines received the full-on racing treatment, using parts from Mylodon, Mickey Thompson, and Iskandarian, among others. To create Harry's frame, two Olds Toronado front clips were tied together with a roll cage, and the engines were installed with one in the normal position and the other behind the driver. Each engine drove two wheels through Olds Toronado transaxles. These engines spun all four M&H slicks through the length of the drag strip, taking driver Gentleman Joe Schubeck on some of the wildest rides ever seen on a drag strip or anywhere else.
Harry went where Harry wanted to go. I mean, Harry went in the ditch in Sand Air, went through 3 cornfields and almost ended up in a barn in New Baltimore. We never knew where Harry was going.
Harry joined the Hemi under glass on the touring circuit, and no one who ever saw either car perform will ever forget the experience. But most of the cars Hurst made for the drag strip didn't make exhibition runs, although their competition wished they had. In 1968, Chrysler Corporation and Hurst came up with a couple cars designed to dominate the superstock classes, the Hemi Dart and the Hemi Barracuda.
We built 150 of those cars, 80 Darts and 70 Barracudas. Literally brought them into our facility on a tow truck, no engine, no transmission in them. Pulled the rear end out from underneath them and put in a heavy-duty rear end, and put fiberglass fenders and hoods on them, acid dip doors, lightweight windows. Of course, the Hemi engine and the transmission with the Hurst shifter in them. And they were the best and fastest stock vehicle you could buy.
But without a doubt, the cars that people remember as the Hurst cars are these, the Hurst Oldsmobiles. Starting in 1968, these cars became some of the most desirable muscle cars ever made, and elevated Hurst from being an equipment manufacturer to being a maker of high-performance, hand-built specialty vehicles. We'll get inside one when the American Muscle Car returns.